Hello everyone, I am Suvarna Gaikwad, currently working as Assistant Professor in Department of Botany of Dada Patil Mahavidyalaya, Karjat, District, Ahmednagar. First of all, I welcome you all in the TYBSc paper 2nd, that is Cell and Molecular Biology. So friends, today we are going to discuss our first topic of cell and molecular biology, that is introduction and history of cell biology. So let's begin with this particular session. So friends, as we know, cell is called as basic unit of life. So, why the cell is called as basic unit of life? As we know, we as a human being are multicellular organisms. As we are organisms, our body is made up of many organ systems. The organ system again made up of different types of organs. Organs are again made up of different types of tissues. And finally, tissues are again made up of different types of cells. But what about next? After cells, we cannot say that cells are again made up of this and that, because after cell level there is no such type of division or differentiation, and so cell is called as basic unit of life. Okay. Similarly, cell is also a structural and functional unit of life. Okay. In this photograph, this is a cell structure observed by scientist Robert Hooke. This is a cell structure resemble like honeycomb, in which there are many compartments which looks like little rooms. Okay, and so each compartment later on named as cell. Okay, cell, it is cell, it was given by scientist Robert Hooke. Okay, so these cells, they are of two types. The cells may be a eukaryotic or a prokaryotic. Now what the name eukaryotic means? So friends, karyon means nucleus. So eukaryote means true nucleus. U means true. So true nucleus means a nucleus in which there is a presence of nucleoplasm, nuclear membrane and nucleolus. Such type of nucleus is called as organized nucleus, and such type of organisms are called as eukaryotic organisms. So, examples of eukaryotic cells are plant cell or animal cell. So, this is a photograph of plant cell. Okay. Another photograph is of prokaryotic cell. Prokaryotic means, pro means primitive and karyon means nucleus. So the organisms which contains primitive nucleus are called as prokaryotic organisms. And the well-known example of prokaryotic organisms are bacteria. So this is a photograph of bacterial cell. Okay, so the cell, they are of two types. One is eukaryotic, which contains plants and animals, and second type is prokaryotic, which contains bacteria. So let's move on to the definition of cytology and cell biology. So cytology, it is a biological science which deals with the study of structure, function, molecular organization, growth, reproduction and genetics of the cell. Okay. Cytology, it is a biological science which deals with the study of structure, function, molecular organization, growth, reproduction and genetics of the cell. The second definition is of cell biology, which particularly deals with the study of cells. Study of cells, especially their formation, their structure, their components and function. Okay, so cell biology particularly deals with the cell. Okay, so this is the definition of cytology and cell biology. Next, we will move on to the discovery of. So next, we will move on the history of cell biology. So there are many scientists which works on different plants and animals and microscope, and finally the discovery of cell was happened. Okay, let's see the first scientist. So Hans and Zacharias Janssen. I said Hans and Zacharias Janssen in 1590. They were the first to invent compound microscope. Okay, so this photograph is of compound microscope made by Hans and Zacharias Janssen. So these compound microscope also have two lenses. One is objective and second is eyepiece. Though this is also a compound microscope, but this microscope was different from the microscope which we used in our laboratory presently. Okay, this microscope is of simple nature and the microscope which we used in our laboratories are of complex nature. Okay, so Hans and Zacharias Janssen, they first to invent compound microscope. Next, another scientist, Robert Hooke, in 1665. They were the first to describe cells. They were another scientist, Robert Hooke, he was the first to describe cells. Actually, Robert Hooke was examining a piece of cork in the bark of trees. Okay, and while examining, he observed this type of cork structure. So, he observed many compartments or chambers. Okay, and in that centrally there were hollow chambers or empty spaces. Centrally there were empty spaces surrounded by a cell wall, okay, or compartment. So this cork structure looked like little boxes or little rooms. Later on, Robert Hooke named these little rooms as the word cells. Okay, this was also a structure similar to honeycomb-like structure. So in this way, the name was given as cell. Okay. So, in this particular photograph, there were empty spaces. Now, the question may be arise why these spaces are hollow in nature or empty in nature. So, the answer is the structure is of cork tissue, okay, or cork cells. So, cork cells are dead in nature. So, there is no protoplasm, only cell wall is there and there is a disintegration of protoplasm. So, they are dead in nature and so looked like empty spaces. Okay. In this way, discovery of cell was happened. Okay. So, whenever the question is who first time discovered the cell, the answer is Robert Hooke. Again, there was another scientist such as Anton von Leeuwenhoek. So, Anton von Leeuwenhoek in 1674, he made his own microscope. So, this is a photograph of microscope made by Leeuwenhoek. Okay. So, Leeuwenhoek was observing small organisms in rainwater by his simple microscope. So, very little organisms such as bacteria, RBCs, then sperm cells, etc. So, he called these organisms as animalcules. Okay. Antony von Leeuwenhoek, he called these organisms as animalcules. The meaning of this word animalcules is very little animals or very little organisms. Okay. So, at that time he was also observing single-celled organisms. Now, presently we call these single-celled organisms as protists. Okay. Single-celled organisms as protists. So, he was also the first scientist who first to see the bacteria. So, he was also observed cells, but these cells are living in nature. Okay, and the cells observed by Robert Hooke was dead in nature. So, this is the basic difference. Later on, another scientist, Robert Brown. Okay, Robert Brown in 1831 first time reported the presence of nucleus in root cells of orchids. Okay, this is the photograph of root cells of orchids. So, this is a cell wall, hexagonal cell. This is a cell wall, and in that cell there is a presence of nucleus. So, this is also one of the most important discovery made by Brown. So, let's summarize some of the events behind the cell biology. So, Francis and Zacharias Janssen first time made compound microscope which consists of two lenses. Then Robert Hooke in 1665 he observed cork cells and gave the term cell, means little chambers. Then Anton von Leeuwenhoek in 1674 he observed animalcules, that is very little organism such as sperm cells, bacterial cells, RBCs, yeast cells. So, these organisms are living in nature. Finally, Robert Brown, he reported presence of nucleus in root cells of orchids. So these are the some points about history of cell biology. Let's move on. Another scientist, Matthias and Schleiden. Okay, Matthias and Schleiden in 1838 reported that all plant parts are made up of cells. Okay, all plant parts are made up of cells. Later on, another scientist, Theodor Schwann. Okay, Theodor Schwann in 1839 reported that all animals are made up of cells. Schleiden reported that all plants are made up of cells. Schwann reported that all animals are made up of cells. So these are some of the sketches of animal cells drawn by Schwann. Okay. So when these two statements made by Schleiden and Schwann, they combined, then it is called as cell theory. Okay, the statements of Schleiden and Schwann, when combined, it is called as cell theory. After that, there is another scientist, Rudolf Virchow. Okay, Rudolf Virchow in 1855 reported that new cells arise from division of pre-existing cells. Okay, this is also one of the most important statement. Rudolf Virchow in 1855 reported that new cells arise from division of pre-existing cells. So when these three statements they combine with each other, the cell theory now called as modern cell theory. So in this way, the cell theory summarizes three scientists, Matthias Schleiden. Matthias Schleiden reported plants are made up of cells, and Theodor Schwann reported animals are made up of cells. So these two statements constitutes cell theory. The third scientist, Rudolf Virchow, reported new cells arise from division of pre-existing cells. So when these three statements they combine, it is called as modern cell theory. Okay, modern cell theory. So cell theory states that all living organisms are made up of cells and their products. Okay, then each cell is a mass of protoplasm, and this protoplasm contains a nucleus surrounded by cell membrane. Cell wall may be present or absent. As we know, in case of plant cell, cell wall is present, and in case of animal cell wall is absent. So each cell is a mass of protoplasm which contains a nucleus and cell membrane. Cell wall may be present or absent. The next statement is activity of an organism as a whole. Okay, activity of an organism as a whole is sum total of activities and interactions of its constituent cell. It is one of the most important statement of cell theory. It means that when a cell respires, it means the body is undergoing respiration. Similarly, if the body needs nourishment, it means the cell needs nourishment. That is, activity of an organism as a whole is sum total of activity of its constituent cells. Okay, and the last point of cell theory is all cells arise from pre-existing cells. As recently I said that the last point, that is all cells arise from pre-existing cells, this statement was done by Rudolf Virchow. Okay, so this all constitutes cell theory. But friends, there are some exceptions of cell theory. Let's see one by one. The first exception is viruses, viroids and prions, they don't have a cellular architecture. C. According to cell theory, all organisms are made up of cells, and cell contains nucleus, protoplasm, cell membrane, etc. Now look at this example. This is a tobacco mosaic virus. So this is a virus. It contains only this RNA strand, that is genetic material, and only these are protein subunits, that is capsomere. So there is no cellular architecture. So the first statement of cell theory, that is all organisms are made up of cell. So in case of viruses, there is no cellular architecture. So this is one of the exception of cell theory. The similar case applied with the viroids. Viroids are single RNA containing viruses. Single RNA viroids are small single RNA containing particles which causes diseases. They also don't have cellular architecture. Similarly, prions. Prions are proteinaceous particles which causes diseases. So similar to viruses, viroids and prions, they don't have cellular architecture. So this is one exception of cell theory. Let's see another exception. So eubacteria and archaebacteria, they don't have an organized nucleus. We have recently seen that an organized nucleus means which contains nucleolus, nucleoplasm and nuclear membrane. But in this case, this is a photograph of a bacteria. So in this, there is only presence of genetic material in the form of DNA, which called as nucleoid. So there is no nuclear membrane, no nucleoplasm, no nucleolus. So well organized nucleus is absent. So this is also one exception of cell theory. Next exception is certain algae such as Vaucaria, fungi such as Rhizopus and Mucor, and certain ciliates, they are cenocytic in nature. Now the word cenocytic means they are aseptate and multinucleated. Let's see. So this is example of Vaucaria. This photograph is of Vaucaria. In this algae, there are only many nuclei. Okay, there are many nuclei without septa. So such type of protoplast is multinucleated protoplast, and it is also called as cenocytic nature of protoplasts. Okay. So similar the case with the fungi such as Rhizopus and Mucor. They also have cenocytic nature of protoplast. It also a exception of cell theory. Then RBCs and mature sieve tube cells, they live without nucleus and another cell organelles. Okay, let's see the photographs. So these are the RBCs, red blood cells. Okay, so they don't have nucleus and cell organelles. This is one exception of cell theory. The next exception is connective tissues contain lot of non-cellular substance called as matrix. For example, this is the photograph of connective tissue. They contain lot of matrix which have non-cellular in structure. So this is also one of the exception. And the last exception is protoplasm is replaced by non-living materials in the cork. As we have seen, cork, it is a dead tissue. In that, protoplasm is replaced by non-living materials. So in this way, there are certain exceptions to cell theory. So friends, till now we have seen what is cell biology, a biological science which deals with the study of cells, its structure, function, organization, etc. Then we have seen the history of cell biology. Behind the history, there are certain important scientists in which first is Hans and Zacharias Janssen, who first time invented compound microscope. Then Robert Hooke, who first time derived the term cell for the dead tissue, cork tissue. Then Anton von Leeuwenhoek, who first time observed the living organisms such as animalcules. And finally Robert Brown first time reported presence of nucleus in root cells of orchids. Then another history, that is cell theory. So behind the cell theory there are three scientists. First is Schleiden, who reported all plants are made up of cells. Then Schwann, who reported all animals are made up of cells. And finally the third scientist, that is Rudolf Virchow, reported that all cells arise from division of pre-existing cells. So these all three statements constitutes modern cell theory. Later on, we have seen the exceptions of cell theory, in which there are certain viruses, viroids, prions, bacteria, certain fungi which are sinusitic in nature, certain algae such as Vaucaria which are again sinusitic in nature, certain RBCs, connective tissues, and finally certain cork tissues. They also don't have protoplasm. And finally cork cells, they don't have protoplasm. So in this way we have completed the definition and the history of cell biology. So these are some of the references. So I hope you have understand some of the basics of cell biology. So friends, we will stop here and we will meet in the next session with the new topic of cell biology. So thank you.